What if Robb Stark prevented the Red Wedding? Let's find out in this video. As the Stark army approaches the twins, King Robb surveys the imposing castle walls. He steels himself for the inevitable parley with Walder Frey, a meeting unlikely to be amicable given the old lord's notoriously fragile pride. Nevertheless, it's a necessary evil. The Frey's allegiance is crucial if they are to sustain their war effort. Robb is about to give the order to march when a scout reports a lone rider approaching under a Frey banner. An escort was expected, but they were still leagues away. Scouts identify the rider as Olyvar Frey, Robb's former squire, so Robb allows him to pass. The boy's appearance is startling. Dirty, clad in worn clothes, a far cry from the pristine squire Robb remembers. Olyvar explains he isn't riding from the twins. They tried to send him away, but he bears an urgent message. Olyvar, your grace, I fear Lord Walder intends to betray you. There's been talk of bloodshed. I don't know the specifics, but the Frey men-at-arms are preparing for war, not a feast. Black Walder and Lame Lothar have been in constant counsel with my grandfather. That can't bode well. They also sent away Sir Perwyn and others who accompanied your battle guard. Robb, this is troubling news. When we meet with Lord Bolton, I will, Olyvar. With all due respect, your grace, I suspect Lord Bolton may be complicit. He recently married one of my kin. The timing seems suspicious, to say the least. Robb's expression hardens. The Freys are some of his most powerful Riverland's vassals, and the key to returning to the north. He can't afford to ignore them, but this smacks of a trap. He thanks Olyvar for his warning and immediately summons his lords and advisors. Upon arriving at the twins, Robb wastes no time. First, he commands Roose Bolton to oversee the fords of the Trident, ensuring the Lannisters pose no threat. Despite the Lord of Dreadfort's protests that he's already stationed men there, Robb insists a seasoned lord must be in command and recalls the other house's soldiers, leaving only Bolton men guarding the fords. These recalled soldiers are positioned just outside the main camp as a reserve force. Next, he places the leaderless Karstark men under Greatjon Umber's command with explicit orders to watch them closely. The remaining Dreadfort men are put under Dacey Mormont's watchful eye. Finally, the River Lords are instructed to maintain vigilance over all camps. With these careful preparations, the Northern and Rivermen forces assemble to meet the Freys. As they enter the castle, Robb's men remain alert, camped in formation, and wearing full armor beneath their clothes, weapons within easy reach. Robb and his men remain vigilant. The lords remain sober and clustered together. Robb keeps a close watch on Walder Frey, noticing the furtive glances the old man exchanges with his sons and daughters. Just as the Rains of Castamere begins to play, Robb subtly nods at Small John Umber. Small John hurls a flagon at Walder Frey's guards, wrestling the nearest man-at-arms to the ground. Robb seizes the fallen guard's sword and charges towards Walder Frey's table as the Northern and Rivermen leap to their feet, attacking their Frey captors. Chaos erupts in the hall. Northern soldiers surge forward, overwhelming the surprised Frey men. Outside, Dacey Mormont and Greatjon rally the men in the camps, turning a potential massacre into a proper battle. The conflict is short-lived. Orders from within compel the Freys to lay down their arms at the command of Lord Walder, who feels Robb's sword pressing against his throat. Robb, if you value your life, late Walder Frey, I advise you order your men to stand down. Walder, I already did. Robb, all of them. Walder, along with Lame Lothar, signals the archers above to lower their crossbows, confirming their treachery. The king's men swiftly disarm the Freys. The twins are now firmly under northern control. Next, Robb orders the arrest of Roose Bolton. Amidst the confusion, the Dreadfort men are unable to resist and are quickly subdued, Roose Bolton taken away in chains. Then comes an even more shocking discovery. Robb's sister, Arya Stark, is among the Frey camp, escorted by the Hound. With no news of her since the beginning of the war, they had feared the worst. Her arrival fills Robb and Catelyn with joy, taking it as a sign from the gods. As they secure the castle, some Freys, seeking to save themselves, confess the conspiracy, including Ryman Frey, Walder's grandson and heir. He produces Tywin Lannister's letter, privately assuring the Freys of his support and promising them River Run if they betray the Starks. This information is enough to start executions. Lord Walder, Walder Rivers, Lame Lothar, Black Walder, and other ringleaders are put to death. The remaining Freys are arrested, or like Sir Ryman, sent to the Wall. Unfortunately, Rose Bolton was smart enough to destroy his correspondence, leaving no evidence other than Frey rumors and testimonies. Still, Robb insists on confronting him. Rose is dragged into the Great Hall of the Twins, the Frey banners now burning in a nearby hearth. Robb Stark stands at the head of the room, his sword resting on the stone table, as Rose Bolton is escorted in under heavy guard. The Lord of the Dreadfort moves with unnerving composure. Ruse, you've been busy, Your Grace. The Freys won't recover from this, I imagine. Robb, neither will you. If Robb intended to intimidate Ruse, he fails. The Lord of Dreadfort doesn't flinch, offering a crooked smile. Rose, you've come to pass judgment then? Have you found proof of my supposed treachery? Robb, there's enough blood on your hands to drown the Dreadfort. You knew about the Freys. Plot. You married one of their daughters to secure your place in it, but you were clever enough to burn the evidence, weren't you? Ruse, you flatter me, Your Grace. If you have no proof, what's stopping you from running me through right here and now? My guards are gone, my banner's fallen. What's the delay? Robb, you don't deserve the mercy of a trial. If I were less of a man, I'd see your head mounted beside Walder Frey's. But I am not Walder Frey, Rose. Perhaps you would benefit from taking a bit from him. Truth be told, I am rather disappointed. He might have been an old fool, but he understood that amidst chaos, evidence could be found or created. Catelyn, you insult my son. You insult your king with such an idea. Lord Bolton, you forget that. Your life is in his hands. Rose, I forget nothing, my lady. I am simply telling the king what he ought to have learned by now. Your honor is the noose around your neck. You wouldn't be here if not for your obsession with it. Tell me, was it honorable to break faith with the Freys, to wed your queen while spitting on the vows you made to Walder? Honor didn't save your father. Honor didn't save Winterfell from Theon Greyjoy or win back the Karstarks, and now it's left you vulnerable, ruling over a fractured kingdom with lions at your door. Robb, I don't doubt myself. I doubt you, and I doubt whether sparing your life is worth the risk. Rose, then kill me. Prove to me and your kingdom you're more than just a boy who inherited his father's mistakes. Robb lifts his sword, and the hall holds its breath. But then he stops. His blade hovers in the air before he slowly lowers it. Rose, but tell me this, Your Grace. Do you truly understand the opportunity you've been handed? You've survived something no one thought you could. Do you not see the chaos you could unleash in the Lannisters' domains? Robb, I've already ordered copies of Tywin's letter to be made. They're being sent to every lord and lady in the Seven Kingdoms. The truth will reach them soon enough. Rose, letters? Letters are words on parchment, easily dismissed or spun into lies by clever tongues. But tales, Your Grace, tales linger, tales ignite. They are whispered in inns, sung by minstrels, and shouted by fools in markets. A letter tells one story, a song tells 100. Robb, songs. Do you think songs are what will win this war? Rose, this war has changed, and the time for swords has passed. Now it is a game of the mind and hidden daggers. Send them out, spread. The tale of Walder Frey's treachery and Tywin Lannister's cowardice. Let the small folk mutter about the betrayal at the twins. Let lords hear it in every feast hall. Let it fester. Robb studies him in silence, his mind working through the implications. He hates the idea of using such underhanded tactics, but he cannot deny its potential value. Robb, you aren't giving this advice freely. Rose, spare me execution and allow me to take the black. You'll rid yourself of me, and I'll be far from your lands, which you can give to whatever toady you wish. Robb, you'll take the black, but if I ever hear of you setting foot south of the wall, there won't be another chance. Do you understand me? As the dust settles on the blood-soaked ground of the twins, the North finds itself in a precarious position. Robb Stark, the young wolf, has not only survived the Red Wedding but has turned the tables on his would-be betrayers. But victory has come at a price. The Freys are decimated, and the North is now even more isolated, surrounded by enemies on all sides. So what happens next? Let's find out. With Walder Frey and his most treacherous kin executed, a power vacuum yawns in the Riverlands. Robb wastes no time filling it with loyal men, ensuring that the twins, a strategically vital location, remains firmly under his control. But the true challenge lies in dealing with Roose Bolton. The Lord of the Dreadfort stands accused of treason, yet Robb lacks definitive proof. The Freys have provided testimony, but their word is hardly trustworthy. Bolton, ever the pragmatist, has erased any incriminating evidence, leaving Robb with a difficult decision. Rose is dragged once more before the king in the north. Robb, you stand accused of conspiring with Walder Frey to betray House Stark. What say you in your defense? Roose, I say that the Freys are liars and oath-breakers, your grace, and that I am your loyal bannerman. I mourn the loss of Lord Walder and his kin as I mourn any loss of life in this war. Robb, you married one of Walder Frey's daughters. Rose, a political alliance, your grace, nothing more. To strengthen the bonds between our houses. Robb, you conveniently destroyed all correspondence that could implicate you. Rose, a prudent measure given the volatile situation. I am a cautious man, your grace. I prefer to leave nothing to chance. Robb's frustration is palpable, but he presses on. Robb, you knew of the Freys' plan. You aided them in their treachery. Rose, I knew nothing, your grace. Had I suspected such a thing, I would have warned you myself. Catelyn, you insult our intelligence. Lord Bolton, you think us fools. Rose, I think you are honorable, my lady. Perhaps too honorable. Rose's words hang in the air, a subtle jab at the Starks' perceived weakness. Robb knows that executing Bolton without solid evidence could create unrest among his bannermen, potentially fracturing the North. But allowing him to go free would be an even greater risk. Robb, I should execute you right here, right now. Rose, and you would be justified. Yet before you do, allow me to offer some advice. Robb raises an eyebrow, intrigued despite himself. Rose, the Lannisters are wounded, your grace, but they are not defeated. Tywin Lannister is a cunning strategist. He will seek to exploit this situation to his advantage. Robb, we are aware of this, Rose, but are you aware of the opportunity you now possess? The Red Wedding was a monstrous act, a violation of guest right that has shocked the realm, but Tywin Lannister's fingerprints are all over it. Robb, we already sent out copies of Tywin's letter, but the Lannisters are not a house to remain. Quiet. Ruse, letters are easily dismissed, lies spread and covered up, but tales spread like wildfire, tales of Frey treachery, of Lannister conniving, of Stark defiance. Catelyn, are you suggesting we spread lies? Ruse, truth, my lady, or something very close to it. Let the small folk whisper of the betrayal at the twins. Let the lords and ladies of Westeros question the Lannisters' honor, sow seeds of doubt and discontent, and watch as their kingdom crumbles from within. The song of Frey's demise will hit harder than the Lannisters' swords. Robb considers Bolton's words, weighing the potential benefits against his own moral code. He despises the idea of resorting to such tactics, but he recognizes the strategic value. Robb, and what do you want in return for this advice? Rose, my life, of course. Spare me execution, and I will take the black. I will serve the knights. Watch far from your lands and your concerns. Robb stares at Bolton, searching for any sign of deceit. He sees only cold calculation. Robb, you'll take the black. But if I ever hear of you setting foot south of the wall, I will hunt you down and make you wish you had died at the Twins. Do you understand? Rose, perfectly. With Rose Bolton banished to the wall, Robb turns his attention to consolidating his power and exploiting the chaos in the south. He agrees to Rose's plan, tasking his riverlords with spreading the tale of Frey treachery and Lannister conniving. Robb, tell them what happened at the Twins. Tell them how Walder Frey violated guest right, how he murdered our men under a flag of truce. Tell them how Tywin Lannister orchestrated the whole thing. Let the story spread, let it fester, let it turn the people against the Lannisters, the Riverlords, eager to avenge the Red Wedding and reclaim their lost honor. Embrace the task with zeal. They travel throughout the Riverlands and beyond, spreading the tale of betrayal and vengeance. Minstrels sing songs of the young wolf's triumph over the treacherous Freys, and fools mock the Lannisters' cowardice and cruelty. The rumors reach King's Landing, shaking the Lannisters' hold on power. The Tyrells, ever pragmatic, begin to question their alliance with the increasingly unpopular and unstable Lannisters. Olenna Tyrell, the Queen of Thorns, sees an opportunity to advance her own family's interests. Olenna, the Lannisters are losing their grip on the Iron Throne. We must consider our options. Mace Tyrell, what are you suggesting, Mother? Olenna, Sansa Stark has fled the capital. Her marriage to Tyrion Lannister is over, but the North still has value. I propose we offer a new alliance. Mace Tyrell, with whom? Olenna, Arya Stark is now technically Robb's heir. We offer to marry her to my grandson, Willis Tyrell. Mace Tyrell. Willis is crippled and Arya Stark is, well, she is no Sansa. Olenna, do not underestimate her, Mace. Arya Stark is a wolf, and wolves are dangerous when cornered. Besides, an alliance with the North could give us the leverage we need to finally displace the Lannisters, the Tyrells. Send envoys to the North, proposing the marriage alliance between Arya Stark and Willis Tyrell. Robb is hesitant. He has only just been reunited with his sister, and he is reluctant to send her away again. But he also recognizes the strategic value of an alliance with the Tyrells. Robb, what do you think, Arya? Arya, it's my decision. Robb, yes, I won't make you marry anyone you don't want to. Arya, and if I don't marry this Tyrell guy, what will happen to our alliance? Robb, this marriage could give our family the power we need to end this war for good. Arya, okay, I'll do it. With Arya's reluctant blessing, the alliance between the North and the Reach is sealed. The Tyrells use their influence to delay and obstruct the Lannisters' war efforts, giving Robb time to consolidate his power and prepare for the coming winter. But the North is not yet secure. Moat Cailin, a strategically vital fortress, remains in the hands of the Ironborn, and Ramsay Snow, the sadistic bastard of Bolton, has escaped into the mountains with a band of loyal followers. Robb, we must reclaim Moat Cailin. It is the gateway to the North, and we must hunt down Ramsay Snow. He is a threat to our people. Robb mobilizes his forces, preparing to drive the Ironborn out of the North and crush Ramsay Snow's rebellion. He knows that the war is far from over and that winter is coming. but he's determined to protect his people and reclaim his kingdom. He sends a vanguard to the Neck, led by Mage Mormont and Howland Reed. The Crannogmen, masters of guerrilla warfare, harass the Ironborn, ambushing their patrols and disrupting their supply lines. Meanwhile, Robb leads the main force south, marching towards Moat Cailin. The Ironborn garrison, weakened by the Crannogmen's attacks and demoralized by the news of Walder Frey's demise, puts up little resistance. The Northmen storm the fortress, driving the Ironborn into the swamps and reclaiming Moat Cailin for the north. With Moat Cailin secured, Robb turns his attention to Ramsay Snow. He sends trackers and scouts into the mountains, searching for any sign of the bastard of Bolton. But Ramsay is a cunning and ruthless foe. He knows the mountains well, and he has a network of loyal supporters among the hill tribes. Days turn into weeks, and still no sign of Ramsay Snow. The Northmen grow frustrated and restless. Some begin to whisper that Ramsay is a phantom, a ghost, haunting the mountains. Robb refuses to give up. He knows that Ramsay Snow is a cancer on the north, and that he must be eradicated before he can spread his poison any further. He continues the hunt, determined to bring the bastard of Bolton to justice. Facing the wildlings, Robb defends the wall and Rose Bolton's treachery. The North had survived the Red Wedding and retaken their lands, but the true winter was yet to come. A desperate raven arrived from Castle Black, its message stark and urgent. The Night's Watch was on the verge of collapse. Mance Rayder and his massive Weldling army were battering the wall, and the undermanned watch couldn't hold for long. If the wall fell, the North, and indeed all of Westeros, would face a threat far greater than any human war. Robb Stark, ever mindful of his duty and the oaths sworn by his ancestors, knew he couldn't ignore the Night's Watch's plea. He swiftly gathered a force of 3,000 seasoned Northmen, veterans of countless battles, loyal to the bone, and grimly determined to defend their land. Among them, perhaps most surprisingly, was Rose Bolton, clad in the black of the Night's Watch. The Lord of the Dreadfort was being sent to the wall as part of his punishment, a living reminder of betrayal and a symbol of Robb's unwavering justice. The journey to the wall was arduous, the harsh northern landscape a constant reminder of the challenges ahead. But the Stark banner flew high, a beacon of hope against the encroaching darkness. As they neared Castle Black, the signs of the wildling siege became increasingly apparent. Abandoned villages, charred fields, and the chilling sound of distant horns signaled the scale of the threat. Reaching the wall, Robb was greeted by a grim Jon Snow, his face etched with weariness and determination. The situation was dire. The wildlings were relentless, their numbers seemingly endless. They attacked day and night, scaling the wall, tunneling beneath it, and raining down arrows and stones on the beleaguered defenders. "Jon, Your Grace, you came. I never doubted you would, but I fear even your strength may not be enough." "Robb, we'll hold the wall, Jon. We have to." "What's the situation?" "Jon, they've been attacking relentlessly. We're outnumbered 10 to 1. Our supplies are dwindling and morale is low. We've lost good men, too many, Robb. Tell your men to stand strong. Reinforcements have arrived." The arrival of Robb Stark and his Northmen was a shot in the arm for the Night's Watch. Hope flickered where despair had taken root. Robb immediately organized the defenses, reinforcing weak points, deploying his archers, and preparing for a counterattack. His experienced commanders quickly assessed the situation and implemented strategies to break the wildling siege. For days, the battle raged along the wall. The Northmen, hardened by years of war, fought with ferocity and skill. Their superior training and equipment gave them an edge against the wildling hordes. Robb himself led the charge, his Valyrian steel sword, ice, a whirlwind of death against the wildlings. The tide began to turn. The Northmen pushed back the wildling climbers, their arrows finding their mark with deadly accuracy. The Night's Watch, reinvigorated by the arrival of reinforcements, fought with renewed vigor. The wildling siege, once seemingly unstoppable, began to falter. Seeing his advantage slipping away, Mance Rayder, the king beyond the wall, signaled for a parley. He knew he couldn't win a straight-up fight against the Northmen and the Knights. Watch, he approached the wall under a white flag, his face grim but resolute. Mance, Stark, I wish to speak with you. Robb, ever cautious, agreed to meet Mance in no man's land, under the watchful eyes of his archers. Robb, Rayder, what do you want? Mance, I see you've brought your wolves, Stark, but you haven't won. We're still here. We're still hungry. Robb, you're beaten, Rayder. Your siege is broken. Surrender and perhaps I'll show you mercy. Mance, mercy? We don't want your mercy. We want a home, a place to live, beyond the reach of the White Walkers. The mention of the White Walkers hung heavy in the air. Robb knew the true threat facing the North, the one that dwarfed any human conflict. Jon Snow stepped forward. Jon, Your Grace, hear him out. These people are fleeing a greater evil. They're not our enemies. They're desperate. Robb considered Jon's words. He knew the Night's Watch scout well and trusted Jon's judgment. Robb, what do you propose, Rayder? Mance, let my people pass through the wall. Let us settle in the gift, the land granted to the Night's Watch. We'll swear fealty to you, King Robb. We'll defend the North against the true enemy. The proposal was risky, but Robb saw a glimmer of hope. The wildlings, if properly managed, could become a valuable asset in the fight against the White Walkers. Robb, the gift is a vast land, more than enough for you and your people. But I set conditions. You lay down your weapons. You swear allegiance to House Stark, and you agree to be overseen by the Night's Watch. Any transgression, any act of violence, and the deal is off. Is that understood? Mance, agreed. The terms were set. The wildlings, weary of war and desperate for survival, laid down their arms and began to pass through the wall. Mance Rayder, his face a mixture of relief and apprehension, led his people into the gift. Tormund Giantsbane, Val the Wildling Princess, and other prominent wildling leaders pledged their loyalty to Robb Stark. The gift, once a desolate and sparsely populated region, began to teem with life. Wildling villages sprang up, the land slowly transforming under the hands of its new inhabitants. The Night's Watch, under Jon Snow's guidance, oversaw the integration of the wildlings, working to maintain peace and prevent conflict. But not all wildlings were willing to accept Robb's terms. Some, like the Weeper and Rattleshirt, refused to surrender, clinging to their hatred and resentment. These rogue elements posed a constant threat to the fragile peace in the gift, and lurking in the shadows, a darker plot was brewing. Roose Bolton, still serving his sentence with the Night's Watch, saw an opportunity to exploit the chaos and destabilize the North. He secretly contacted his bastard son, Ramsay, ordering him to launch raids on the gift, sowing discord and inciting violence between the wildlings and the Northmen. Roose also reached out to the Weeper and Rattleshirt, offering them a chance for revenge. He promised them weapons, supplies, and a chance to reclaim their freedom if they would join his cause. Roose, you both have the hatred of the Northmen running through your veins and the wildling bloodlust to conquer. Join me, and we shall bring the King of the North to his knees. The Weeper and Rattleshirt exchanged dark glances, and a sinister smile slowly spread across their faces. Rattleshirt, what's the catch? Roose, there is no catch. I simply need help. I need you to gather the scattered wildlings, those who refuse to submit to the Northmen. I need you to create chaos, to destabilize the gift. The Weeper, and what do you get out of this? Rose. My freedom, my revenge, and the chance to restore my family to its rightful place. With Rose's support, the Weeper and Rattleshirt rallied the malcontent wildlings, gathering a sizable force of warriors eager for bloodshed. They launched a series of brutal attacks on the Gift, targeting both wildling villages and Night's Watch outposts. The fragile peace shattered, replaced by fear and violence. Jon Snow, struggling to maintain order, sent urgent messages to Robb Stark, pleading for reinforcements. But Robb was preoccupied with other matters, unaware of the full extent of Roose Bolton's treachery. Seizing his opportunity, Roose Bolton orchestrated a bold move. He gathered a group of loyal followers within the Night's Watch, men who shared his ambition and resentment. Together, they ambushed and murdered the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, seizing control of Greyguard, a strategically important castle overlooking the Gift. With Greyguard in his hands, Rose opened the gates to the wildling horde led by the Weeper and Rattleshirt. The wildlings poured into the Gift, burning and pillaging everything in their path. The Night's Watch was caught completely off guard, their forces scattered and overwhelmed. Roose Bolton, standing atop the walls of Greyguard, watched the carnage with a cold, satisfied smile. He had successfully plunged the North into chaos. Now it was time to solidify his power. Rose, men of the North, Ironborn, wildlings, hear me. I am Roose Bolton, Lord of the Dreadfort. I declare myself Warden of the Gift. I hereby renounce my allegiance to King Robb Stark and pledge my loyalty to the true Warden of the North, Ramsay Bolton. The flayed man of House Bolton, previously hidden, was unveiled above the gates. With that declaration, Roose Bolton completed his betrayal. He had turned against his king, embraced the chaos, and set himself on a path of rebellion. The North, already weakened by war and internal strife, now faced a new and deadly threat: the treachery of Roose Bolton and the unbridled fury of the wildlings. The war to survive was only just beginning. With the threat of the wall being broken looming over them, Robb knows that he needs to deal with Roose Bolton immediately and put an end to his treachery before it destabilizes the North even further. The damage that Roose has done is immeasurable, but Robb will make sure that it doesn't get any worse. By the time Robb and his forces reach Carhold, Roose Bolton and his army have dug themselves in front of the castle walls. It's a grotesque tapestry of wildlings, Ironborn renegades and Night's Watch deserters, each representing a festering wound on the North's honor. But the most prominent of all the banners that stand before him is the flayed man of Bolton, a symbol of cruelty and betrayal that Robb is determined to tear down. Robb surveys the scene, his gaze sweeping across his own forces. The Stark bannermen stand firm: Galbar Glover, Wyman Manderley, Gretchen Umber, and Mage Mormont, their faces grim, their resolve unshaken. Alongside them stand the wildlings who chose loyalty over chaos, their eyes burning with a desire to prove their worth. They are a motley crew, but they are united in their purpose: to defend the North from those who would seek to tear it apart. Robb turns to his commanders, including Jon Snow, who now stands at his side, his face a mask of grim determination, his hand resting on the hilt of Longclaw. Robb, this ends today. Every day they remain, they burn more of the North. He's gathered the desperate and the disloyal. Their unity is brittle. Break their spirit, and they'll scatter. His words are met with nods of agreement and steely glances from his commanders. The battle begins at dawn. The sky is a canvas of grey and white, mirroring the grim determination in the hearts of the men who are about to clash. Robb orders his cavalry to sweep wide, aiming to encircle the enemy camp and cut off any chance of retreat. Galbart Glover leads the charge. His riders, a blur of steel and fury, crashing into the wildling flanks with a thunderous roar that echoes across the battlefield. The wildlings fight with a ferocity born of desperation, but they lack the discipline. and training to stand against the heavy horse of the north. They falter, they break, they are pushed back, their lines collapsing under the relentless assault of the northern cavalry. From the center, Robb's main host advances, a wall of shields and bristling spears. The sight of their advancing ranks fills the Northmen with a surge of courage and determination. Between their ranks, Jon's wildlings fight alongside them, axes and spears rising and falling in a symphony of violence. They crash into Roos's renegades, a chaotic mix of Ironborn, Northmen who have turned their backs on their oaths, and Night's Watch deserters. This center force is better disciplined and better armed than the wildlings on the flanks. There, Shield Wall holds for now, thanks to Cregan Karstark rallying them with a series of roars and threats. From atop a small hill, Roose Bolton watches the battle unfold, his eyes like chips of ice, his face devoid of emotion. He relays instructions to his lieutenants, but his orders seem to lack the conviction they once held. He sees that the tide of battle is turning against him, and the realization seems to flicker in his eyes, a brief glimpse of fear that is quickly masked. Suddenly, the left flank, made up of Ramsay's bandits, launch a desperate attack against Tormund's right. Though they lack the heavy armor and war horses of the northern houses, they possess a raw savagery that is terrifying to behold. They ride their light cavalry with reckless abandon, crashing into the wildling lines and opening gaps for their comrades to exploit. These light cavalry rush through the gaps and hit the northern flank, taking the pressure off the Karstark's beleaguered forces. But just as it looks as if Ramsay's bandits are gaining the upper hand, Jon Snow rallies a group of retainers from the center and forms a defensive line in their rear. Lacking the numbers to break through a prepared line, Ramsay's forces begin to get bogged down. Things only get worse for Ramsay when a squadron from the right flank suddenly rushes forward, led by Tormund Giantsbane himself. The red-bearded, wildling chieftain bellows a challenge, his axe dripping with the blood of his enemies. Without their maneuverability, these cavalrymen are cut down amidst the wildlings' laughter. Tormund's countercharge breaks the momentum of Ramsay's attack. Tormund, "Come on, you bastards! You wanted the north? Here's the bloody north!" The sight of their former comrades turning against them breaks the spirit of many of Rose's wildlings. They begin to scatter, retreating toward the tree line. The Ironborn begin to pull back as well, deciding that this endeavor is no longer worth the risk. Ramsay, consumed by a rage that knows no bounds, charges forward recklessly, screaming curses at his fleeing men. He sees the tide of battle turning against him, and he refuses to accept defeat. He drives his horse toward Jon Snow, determined to end the battle with a single, decisive strike. Ramsay is a whirlwind of fury, swinging his sword wildly, his attacks clumsy and telegraphed. Jon Snow parries each blow with ease, his movements fluid and precise. He steps into Ramsay's attack and stabs Ramsay's horse beneath him, slitting its throat and sending Ramsay tumbling to the ground. "Ramsay, you're nothing but a bastard." But Jon's response takes the words from Ramsay as he suddenly falls over. As Ramsay gets to his feet, Jon Snow comes at him, their swords clashing in a flurry of sparks that light up the ground around them. Yet the flow of the battle begins to shift as Longclaw cuts through Ramsay's defenses, sending him tumbling from his horse. The bastard of Bolton falls to the blood-soaked snow, his face twisted in rage and disbelief. Up on the hill, Roose Bolton watches the collapse of his forces, his face a mask of cold calculation. He had gambled everything on this rebellion, and he had lost. His horse shifts nervously beneath him as the Stark banners draw closer. "Roose, it seems the day is lost." Moments later, Stark riders crest the hill. At their head is Robb Stark, his sword raised high, his face grim with determination. "Robb, Roose Bolton, you are done. Surrender and your men may yet live." Roose looks down at Robb, his face unreadable. Slowly he dismounts, dropping his sword to the ground. "Roose, you have your victory, your grace. By nightfall the battlefield is quiet. The snow is stained crimson, the air thick with the smell of blood and death. But amidst the carnage, there is a sense of relief, a feeling that the worst is finally over. Ramsay's body is strung up on a tree as a warning to all who would follow his path. Beside him hang the corpses of Arnulf Karstark, the Weeper, and Rattleshirt, all symbols of treachery and rebellion. Roose Bolton is brought before Robb in chains, his face as composed as ever. He shows no remorse, no fear, no regret. He is the same cold, calculating man he has always been, even in the face of his own death. Robb, your crimes have brought ruin to the north. Roose, do not think this victory makes you invincible, your grace. The north remembers, but so too does the south, Robb. But you will not live to see it. Without another word, Robb lifts his sword and brings it down in a swift, decisive arc. Roose Bolton's head rolls across the snow, his reign of terror finally at an end. In the south, Olenna is true to her word and ensures that the Lannisters' efforts are hampered. She skillfully weaves a web of political intrigue, diverting resources and sowing discord within the ranks of her supposed allies. This is helped in no small part by Cersei's own incompetence, as her rash decisions and erratic behavior only serve to further undermine the Lannisters' position. Cersei's attempts to unseat Margaery as queen backfire spectacularly, causing Olenna to decide that maintaining the Iron Throne is more trouble than it's worth. She swiftly shifts her allegiance, convincing the Tyrells to throw their support behind Stannis Baratheon, recognizing him as the most viable candidate to restore stability to the realm. Coupled with the stain on the Lannisters' reputation from the Red Wedding, this defection ensures that few respect them and their failures allow even fewer to fear them. Without Tywin, the house soon sinks into obscurity, its power and influence dwindling with each passing day. With the war over, Robb sends Arya south to marry Willis Tyrell. Thankfully, this marriage proves to be a happy one. Willis is a kind and understanding man, and he is more than happy to let Arya continue training as a swordswoman. He recognizes her fierce spirit and encourages her to pursue her passions. Eventually, Willis decides to bend the knee to Stannis Baratheon, uniting the Reach with the North and Riverlands, and making the Seven Kingdoms whole once again. With the North secured and a powerful alliance forged with the Tyrells, Stannis is finally able to focus on the true threat looming in the North, the Night King and his undead army.